My name's Camille. I've set up my presentation a little differently today than probably some of the other presentations you've seen. I'm setting mine up as a discussion with our audience right here, right now. Through this presentation, I'm really encouraging a lot of questions and comments as I speak. I've only made up about 10 slides. It'll take me maybe 6 minutes to go through them. I have 15 minutes, so I really need your guys' help here, okay? NLR has a sparing pool, which created significant savings. The decision to move away from traditional maintenance contracts was based on formulas and spreadsheets. What I'm here to do is to see if these spreadsheets and formulas can also help you create savings too. Okay, so that's where we're going to begin. When we began to investigate, NLR had a traditional next business day maintenance contract in excess of $1 million annually going out. Who here has next business day contracts? Okay. Who has 4-hour turnaround times? Who doesn't know? Okay, we all know what our contracts are. We all know these costs. This is why it's so important. All right. When we began this, there were two main goals. One, to reduce maintenance costs and to reduce mean time to repair. There are the summaries of what was going on, of what we've pretty much covered. What would be your guys' goals? What would be your guys' concerns if you wanted to investigate this? Would they be the same? Would they be different? Okay.
I never want to spend any money anymore on maintenance.
Thank you, Grover. So as we go through this, all right, we took into these considerations. And with these, we have the equipment quantities, which obviously you would have from your own personal network. We came up with formula and spreadsheets for the following things. The initial cost of populating a spare pool, replacement costs, the failure rates. The current maintenance cost would be yours to be determined, but we can help you figure out what future maintenance costs could look like right now. All right. There were some other considerations that we've looked at, right? Location and storage for spares, shipping and associated costs for sparing. So these next slides where I'm going to be jumping in and out of PowerPoint. I need to move into spreadsheets. So bear with me as I go through this. The first formula that I'm going to cover is determining the required components and cost of establishing a sparing pool. If you look over here, I guess it would be on the little blue font. This talks about what was NLR's initial cost to set up sparing pools for each of the different layers of network that we support. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. In this one, we took the list costs, and then we've set it up so that you can use your prorate percentage to go through, and it will change here in just a second. I'll show you. To also determine what you need, we use the busiest sites for disaster recovery purposes. If our worst site gets destroyed, how much is it going to cost to replace it? That's worst case scenario. The other thing is determine if you have any current devices that are end of life, no longer for sale. What would it cost to replace that device with the newest one? And what other components would also need to be replaced with that? Okay, so here it is. On this formula, I know these are really kind of busy looking, and I've tried to simplify them as much as possible for this. The prorate percentage and the quantities will change your outcomes. So your list price, let's see here. There. Okay. This is layer 2, layer 3. And if you change your prorated price to, say, 75 or 73%, I guess, as I hit, your numbers are going to change. So you can see your values of what it would cost to set up a sparing pool. Do you have questions? Does anyone want to try some numbers right now? What's the prorate percentage for? So if you don't if your vendor gives you a discount, you can go in here and put in what your list costs are and then what your discount would be, and you can figure it out from there.
So this is like one site, one busy layer 2 site?
Yes.
And it looks like the number's backwards. It's not a 73% discount, it's a 27% discount.
It's the prorated percent. Right.
I think you need to negotiate with Cisco better, but
Okay. One caveat as I'm going through these, I have put in random list cost percentages, so no non-disclosures should be being violated here. I tried to make them kind of so they look like they would be about what we would be paying or what we would be seeing, but I didn't use our actual numbers. Okay. The next one. This is something that we really did look at, and we really wanted to put some time in. You will not see this showing up on much of the spreadsheets because I tried to only keep the columns that were most important for this viewing because it's kind of big and can't see it all. For this one, the failure rate formula, we took the device's MTBF rate, divided it by the number of parts in the network, and divided that by the hours in a year to equal the anticipated replacement rate. We then compared this to the actual failure rate in the field. NLR had less than anticipated failures. The other thing that we found, and we think it's very important for our audience, for our community, NLR has two SmartNet maintenance models, per component and per chassis inclusive of all components. I'm going to show two different spreadsheets that determine this, or help you determine what your cost would be. This shows the break-even point for evaluating a sparing pool versus SmartNet costs. Okay, so the first one I'm showing is the per chassis inclusive of all components. For simplicity's sake, I'm only using layer 2 devices from the NLR network, not layer 3, because it's kind of a lot to see right here. Okay, the in-use and the current spares columns do not change any of the outcomes. However, the actual failure rate, the quantities, the prorated list price, all will change your outcome. So say, for some reason, a SmartNet drops down to $55,000 a year. Here would be your cost to replace stuff, right? It wouldn't be beneficial for you. But if your SmartNet is $90,000 a year, and your prorated costs are, I don't know, we'll figure it out in just a second. All these will change these numbers. So you say your prorated costs are 64%. You would have savings. And these are based on 2 years of actual failures in our field. Who would this help? Is anyone wanting to try some numbers, change some stuff? Good question. I did not put, okay, he wants to know about software upgrades if I factored this in. Cisco does have something that they call, in short term, SASU, I believe, Software Application Software Upgrade Service Contract. That number is not included on here, but it's something I would say you may want to ask your Cisco rep about. It is available, and you'd have to find out those numbers. And it would be something you would want to include. Okay. The next spreadsheet, I'm using our optical gear. And this is based on per component maintenance costs. All right. This one is much busier, and I apologize for that. There's just no way I could do anything about it. Okay. So in this one, several different things can change. Since this is based on per component, the quantity in your field could change the total outcome. The maintenance cost per unit will change the outcome. The prorated percentage will change. The list price, the actual failures will all change what your outcome is. And let me pull this over a little bit more so you can see us. Here is a difference of if these were my costs and those were the failures I've had, that's how much the difference of how much I would have to pay for my replacements versus the total maintenance component cost is. Does that make sense?
Your savings per year.
Yes, as Ron said, the savings per year. Okay, questions on this? Does anyone want to try some numbers?
Camille, is that just a flat replacement of every part that fails, or?
Yes.
Okay.